So some people are concerned about overpopulation.
Mhm.
Some people are concerned about us dying out as a human species. Uh, both of those people live in Austin
I
and
know.
talk to me
I know.
often about.
I know. I know. I
So,
know. I know who they are, but
yeah. What's your in Africa is at the center of this because there is a vibrant, huge number, probably over 1 billion
yeah,
people.
we're 1.3 billion people, and of those 1 billion blacks.
I mean that. Where do you land on that?
There is a reason, Lex, why I say I'm haunted, that I'm obsessed, that I'm monomaniacal when it comes to the free markets, and that I have such a strong sense of urgency to the point that literally it is affecting me. And it has to do with the fact that, yes, you have the youngest region on Earth in terms of the age of its population, and the rate at which it's growing, demographic wise. I am not willing to stay there and say it's a curse for humanity, but it will be a curse for humanity if we don't make sure that these people, our youth, gets to partake. And what it takes to partake is not much. So if the rest of the world thinks that get to partake means you have to send more foreign aid, you have to have more charity businesses, charity organizations sending stuff our way, of course, you're almost thinking parasites. I'm sorry to say it this way. If this is what you're thinking, you're seeing us as no more than parasites. And if that's what it's going to be, I could see why some people might be worried about that. Although humans should never be seen as parasites, no matter. But some people will go there. Now, people are here. What are we going to do? Dispose of them? That's not an option. So the only option we have left is to make sure that people partake. And what partaking means is that people get included in them and are part of the systems that allow for human flourishing. And it's not much. In this case, it's about, can we be serious about the reforms? So we have free market zones, areas where the flourishing can start to take place. The wealth that people will need to flourish, they don't need you to give it to them. But it's all about, can I let you fly? And you will make it happen for you and also for me. Every young African I see today, I realize how stupid the rest of the world is if they're not supporting what I'm trying to talk about. Because even if you don't want to do it because that's the right thing to do, which I think it is the right thing to do, you're self in it. Maybe engage your selfishness. Because this person right there, remember I told you, 7 billion geniuses. Everybody came to this world with a piece of solution to the human problem. This person and that person and that person hold something for me because I'm part of humanity. This person might have a cure to a cancer that might take my wife out, the wife I haven't met yet. But this kid right here has it inside. And if I make sure that this kid gets a chance to flourish and to manifest his genius or her genius, that trickle down many years later comes straight back to serve me and the love of my life. If we can't see it any other way, maybe let's try to think about it that way, because it becomes a very good proposition at that point. So in this case, by 2050, Lagos, Nigeria will be the largest city in the world. The future is African, whether we want it or not. But is it going to be an African future where you have the youth being a ticking bomb? Because they have not, there's no hope. They stay in poverty because they belong to nations that don't even understand sometimes the importance of common law versus civil law. Because they're trapped in countries that don't understand that, you need to make the legal framework to provide for better economic freedom so you can unleash the genuineness, the awesomeness, the ingenuity, the industrious side of your young people, especially of your women so that they build all the wealth that your nation is going to need you to build, and with it, the respect that comes from that. See, we have a choice to make. And this is why I feel so restless about this at this point of my life. We just lost George Hayite. George Hayite is one of the few Africans that I knew who put this out. That's who I learned from. He's gone. And I feel a strong sense of urgency to not only bring back to the table that which he has been working on, but to also make sure that it gets steam. That's why being here talking with you today, it's you have no idea. It's if people ask what if someone like you could say, "What can I do?" You did more than you could ever imagine by just allowing me to take this message to one more person. And because if we do this, the change is going to happen somewhere down the line.
Yeah,
so
the ripple effects of all of that
it's-
on the unlocking the human potential
it's unbelievable.
of all those people in
It's
Africa
unbelievable.
building cool stuff, amazing things.
Yes. So some are going to be built stuff. Others are going to work on the reforms. So we're working on reforms, by the way. I'm the head of the Africa Center for Prosperity of the Atlas Network, the largest organization in the world working on taking down barriers of entry for entrepreneurs around the world in their respective countries. So we're doing great work there. I basically all the think tanks we have in Africa right now, free market think tanks, and we want to promote more of them to come up. And these are local solutions by local people for their local problems. Always, that's where we draw the line. And so so we're working on reforms primarily, and making people understand the free markets and the importance of it. But it is piecemeal legislation. It takes time. It is hard. By the time you accomplish something here, more crap has happened over here. More laws have been pounded up because you know how they fix a bad law most of the time. Whether it's in the US, somewhere else, put other laws to kind of undo the law from before, but it keeps stacking up. And before you know it, where you should have one thing and it's clear, you have 100 and they go against each other, and then it's worse. So we have piecemeal legislation that's happening. Our teams are doing really amazing, fantastic work, especially the team in Imani in Ghana. We have a group in Burundi, the Great Lakes. I mean, people are doing amazing work. But we need to run faster. So while we help them running faster, we also have to unlock other things. And right now I'm working on one of my most craziest projects. Something bold, radical, crazy for some people. But I know we're not crazy because before us, Singapore has done it. Hong Kong has done it. Latest, the most recent China with the SEZs, the special economic zones, some of the most radical free market zones in the world. They've done it. And oftentimes within a generation, meaningful change starts to happen, right? So here, what I'm working on is this concept of, some call it charter cities, Paul Romer. Others call it the free cities. And I like to call it startup cities. What these are is for us to think about, okay, if piecemeal legislation takes forever, while we have this demographic that's growing faster and faster in Africa, there is a discrepancy here between the progress we're making to set the right environment for business to prop up, and how many more people are coming to life, literally every day on the continent. There's a discrepancy here, and so the ticking bomb is going faster than the progress we can make. This is a problem. So what some of us are working on is this concept of a startup cities, and to say piecemeal legislation takes too long. How about we continue doing that work, which is essential and critical, but at the same time, can we think of zones, and I like to call them also common law zones, where we basically try to have within the country an area where for business, I'm not talking about family law or any of that stuff, no one is touching your culture or anything like that, but we're just saying business-wise, an enclave where you have the best practices from around the world, including yours, in terms of what constitute a great business environment, and allow people in. Like it's You get in freely, or nobody's forcing you to go, nobody's forcing you to whatever. So basically you're to think about this rather unoccupied plot of land within a country. Think Dubai. On 110 acres of land, Dubai is thinking that in their case, they're like, they decided maybe Sharia law is not the best for business in their case. And they said, they looked around and were like, wow, but common law, especially British common law, seems like a very good one. So at that point, they decided for business only, not family or anything like that, which is going to stay under, Sharia or whatever. And so they said, we are going to bring in, so they hired retired British common law judges to educate the law and train the people under there. And I'm oversimplifying, but at the end of the day, within a generation, Dubai became one of the top international financial centers of the world. It is what it is today. So
And in the case of the African nations, that zone can then spread.
yes, it can not only spread, but maybe let's say Senegal. If Senegal was to go for this, here you have this one, and then over there you have another zone. And then what they start to do is they're not all modeled the same way, because maybe this one is saying, hey, we want to attract more, I don't know, maybe we want to attract more medical research, right? This one's going to be saying, maybe we want to attract more crypto, or maybe it's going to be more like us. We want to be more about religious, this or whatever. You know what I mean? So we want it to fit more of this or that. And just kind of give the basics, the grounds, and then watch the magic happen on it, right? And so this is what we're working on. And the hope there, because some people are like, I know some people are like, you guys are crazy. But I'm like, no, it's more or less the story of the Asian tigers, and most recently, most of China's progress, economically speaking, because some people might say, well, you don't want the China way of developing. You see, even then I say, and it's okay. You can always do better, but we cannot deny what the magic that they have accomplished. What they have accomplished is nothing short of a miracle. 800 million people getting out of poverty in such a short amount of time.
So it's not for the quality of life of the majority of the Chinese population.
Yes. Does something like that happen without problems? Of course not. And so the next person to do something just actually gets to learn from lessons. That's all.
And leapfrog.
Exactly. So for me, this is a promise. And people are like, oh, but you guys are crazy. But I'm like, just like with everything, do you know how many attempts it took before the first flight, the Wright brothers took off? Do you know how many? And that's important. You try, you crash, you try, you crash, but each time you're going higher, and once you get up for once, then you stay up longer, and before you know it, you're doing all types of things. So here's the same thing. I tell people, listen, all I need is one success story. And then the sea change. People don't even wait for us.
Yeah.
Everybody. But this is hard because it's the first time. So, but the good news is there are many groups working on the continent. There are some groups in Zambia. There's a zone there. Folks are doing something like this in Nigeria. We're part of a project there in Nigeria. The one that I'm most excited about, I cannot disclose the name of the country yet, but my God, I'm so excited by it. And I just know, Lex, it's going to happen in our lifetime.
I hope so. It's a really powerful vision. And, it's not being dramatic to say that the future of humanity depends on your success, that success in Africa. It's such an important continent.
It is.
This century.
It's the continent where everything started. And I think it's the continent where that continent has to finally thrive. We cannot, all of us, call ourselves an enlightened society as a whole. When you have this, it's a humongous continent. Have you seen the size of it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's hard to fathom, actually.
Yeah,
forget.
Exactly. And it has such ingenious people. Sometimes I look at my people. I have to tell you, I'm so proud of them, and the young people especially. And you would look at them, and somebody said sometimes one day, and it was so true. They said, we've seen poverty other places, but here, it is just maybe somebody doesn't have money, but they have dignity. And it's true.
Yeah.
So everything else we can handle, and we will handle. You have to mark my word for this. This is going to happen. And our youth is amazing. You should see them. So full of creativity. And it doesn't matter. You were telling me what makes you different. Many things makes us all different. The Rwandans are very different from the West Africans that we are. Rwandans, for example, never dance with their hips. They dance more like, with this part of the body.
West Africans' hips?
Us, it's hips all over the place all the time, and it's more jumping, stuff like that.
Yeah.
In Rwanda, you feel it's more like they remind me more of the ballet thing. Rwandans have a sense where they don't eat in so much in public. It's not very well. It's something you do. Us, we the West Africans, we like to be loud. We're almost like the Italians of the continent. And then the Rwandans are more like, the Swiss of actually the country even looks like Switzerland.
Yeah.
I mean, we're so different from one group to another. Then you go to the Congo and you see these guys, they're so crazy, the way they dress, les sapeurs. So we are a very different bunch. But what I love about us, what I love about my people, we are the manifestation of what resiliency means. And so everything we need is there. Everything we need is there. I will say that there's nothing wrong with the seed. Everything that's wrong with us is that pot that we put around us. So we're tired of being bonsai people. We need to be the tallest trees in the forest that we were designed to be. And
that can be fixed.
And that's the beauty of it. And that's why I'm almost dizzy. I get dizzy with hope. I know my history. I know my economics, my fellow humans, and all of that. And we know that there's an unfailing recipe.
Yeah.
And when it comes to that recipe, we have the hardest part of it. The one missing ingredient, which is the free markets. As we go around and talk, and people start to understand, and each country tries to figure out, okay, where do we go there from here? I know that I will die with my continent having taken the right shift, the right turn. I don't have to see where it ends because I cannot, in my wildest dream, imagine where it's going to end. But I know it's going to be, So my only job is to get this message out and then let my people do with it what they want to do.
Yeah, the scale of impact is just boundless. It's kind of cool. I mean, sometimes we think about individual problems and how do we solve them. We look up to certain individuals like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk's.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so much more powerful to just, without knowing what they will do, give the freedom to millions, to hundreds of millions of people to do whatever the hell they're going to do.
Can you imagine? Yeah. Can you just imagine?